Hi guys, welcome back to the Drive Life channel. In today's video we're bringing you a mega review of the Volvo V60 Cross Country. This car has very kindly been supplied by the legends at Keith Price Volvo in Abergavenny, so if you're in the market for a new or used Volvo, be sure to get in contact with them. Adrian's the one who set this up, and yeah, it's an absolutely gorgeous car. So let's get straight into it. So this particular V60 Cross Country is a B4, which means it's the mild hybrid diesel. So essentially the D4 engine with a mild hybrid battery system. So you can expect to return between 50 to 70 mpg depending on driving conditions. I've had it on a dual carriageway at 70 miles an hour, and we were seeing sort of 68, 70. Around town, you're looking more about 50 miles per gallon. So really nice setup. It's four-wheel drive as well, and it's currently finished in denim blue. Now this particular car wasn't actually the car I was meant to be driving today. I was meant to have the 2022 a white one, but unfortunately that one got damaged yesterday. So Adrian very kindly managed to pull a few strings and got me this car for today, and I'm so glad he did, because it's just, in terms of spec, it's perfect. So let's get straight into it. So like I said, this is the B4 Cross Country. Cross Country is essentially a V60 with the cladding on. So it's raised up by 1.5 inches or 1.3 inches, I think. You've got this body cladding here, and it's also on this car four-wheel drive. They all come as four-wheel drive. Some of them are two-wheel drive variants as well. It's available with the full range of petrol and diesel engines. So as you can see here, V60 is just a gorgeous looking car. These new Volvo grills really are imposing. You've got the Thor's hammer headlights as well, and yeah, you can see just a really nicely designed car. It's not shouty, it's not aggressive, but it's just classy. That's the only way to describe this. So we've got the front parking sensors as well on here, which is good. This car doesn't have the radar for the adaptive cruise control. It's just got the standard passive cruise control, but it does have the lane assist and everything as standard on this car. Now moving on to the side profile then, and it's the typical CMA platform, Volvo shape, the V60 shape. Beautiful shape. These newer Volvos just have a wonderful silhouette to them, don't they? The Scandinavian sort of straight lines just works so well, and you've got a nice low belt line as well on the car, so you've got a nice bit of glass all the way around. Great visibility, and then also you've got these lovely rear glass here. Now the back is just as gorgeous as the front. You'll see that we've got these two twin exhausts here, which look excellent. They're not actually the real exhaust. The real exhausts are tucked inside here, but yeah, in terms of aesthetic, this car really is lovely. And you'll see that the cladding comes along and runs along the running boards over the rear wheel arches, and then across the back here. And you've also got the Cross Country text running across the back part, the lower part of the bumper. So yeah, it's just a gorgeous looking car, isn't it? It is brilliant, and obviously all the lighting etc is LED as well. So the diesel V60 Cross Country starts at just over £40,000, and for that you get the lovely this with the 4-cylinder turbo diesel engine, obviously with a 48 volt mild hybrid system. So essentially what that means is when you coast or when you brake, the car recovers the energy, a bit like they used to do, or still do, in Formula 1 cars, the KERS system, and it then uses that energy to drive the car, break the inertia for when it's stationary. So it's a really clever system. As part of the reasons why this car gets such good fuel economy. Now, as with all modern cars, this is quite a heavy car. It's 1900 kilos. What that does mean, it has a towing capacity of 2000 kilos, 2 tons. So it's easily going to be able to tow most people's needs, caravans, bike racks, all that sort of thing. It's just going to be able to cope with it, absolutely. And then also with the Cross Country and the V60s in general, you get these lovely roof bar mounts here, so or roof rails, so you can mount your roof bars across. And the things with Volvos, they just look fantastic. The more stuff you can just chuck on them and attach to them, they just seem to look better. I don't know how they do it. As standard, it comes with Continental tyres. These are the Eco Contact 6s, and they're standard on the Volvo range. You've also got, well, they're 235 45 R19s on this car, but obviously it varies on the type of car and size of the wheel that you go for. So let's take a look at the lovely interior. I forgot to show you the key actually. Orange. You're not going to lose that, are you? So yeah, it's certainly a interesting key. This is optional, so you don't have to have, you can have a nice black key, you can have a nice wooden key. Yeah, there's plenty of options with the key. So should we start at the boot? Because this car is all about, press and hold the boot button, there we go, all about the boot really, isn't it? As an estate car, that's what you're buying it for. So let's take a look. So this is pretty cavernous, this boot, to be honest. Interestingly, it's actually more boot space than the XC60, which is something that I thought was amazing. Got this lovely cover here, parcel shelf cover, not sure what you call it really, it's a bit of a privacy cover. And yeah, as you can see, it's a nice big boot. You'd fit pretty much everything. In terms of dog capacity, probably fit 2 or 3 Labradors in here. It's not bad at all. Probably 2 German Shepherds. There's plenty of room for all sorts. You could probably fit a bicycle in it with the seats fold down. You could easily fit family's luggage for going on holiday, all of that sort of thing. And you've also got the ski hatch as well to fit your skis into. You've got a false floor with spare wheel underneath, something that's disappearing, but a nice useful space as well. You can fit a few more bits and pieces in there, and as with all Volvos, you get the lovely hook there, so you can hook that up. Just makes so much sense. One of the reasons I love Volvos. They just think of everything. Also got a nice 12-volt socket here, which is useful for sort of, well, tyre inflators, all of that sort of thing, for kids' footballs, paddle boards, inflatable kayaks if you're into that sort of thing. And then you also get a Volvo branded first aid kit, which are apparently some of the best in the business. Now this bar across here is removable. Just reach in, pull these tabs there like that, the whole cover pulls out, and then you can sort of create a really big load space. And we'll just quickly show you as well the boot with the seats down, because you really could fit anything in this car. Let's move into the rear leg space then, and this seat is in my standard driving position. I'm about 6 foot to 6'2", depending on what shoes I'm wearing, and whether it's in the morning or not. So let's take a seat behind mine, and yeah, there's reasonable space. There's decent foot room down here. You do have to spread your legs like that, but oh, that's a bit tight actually. There we go, that's better. So a bit tight on the armrest. The armrest does intrude quite a bit. You've got your nice storage bin in here, nice aluminium handles, lovely rear air vents, and this, oh, we've also got rear heated seats on this car. So there you go, press those, both heated, and 2 USB-Cs in the back here as well. There's a lovely net for all of your passengers' needs, or you can stick your AA Road Atlas in there like we all do. So we've also got the electronically folding down headrests as well, which is good. Just to press the button on the infotainment screen will bring those down. And interestingly, you can also lock the door from the back, which is good. I got Isofix on both back seats, nice and easy to fit a baby seat in, as most cars are nowadays, to be honest. And then we've also got the lighting up here, and various hooks, grab handle, and a sort of suit hook as well, if you're that way inclined. Now let's just take a minute to appreciate the spec of this car. It is gorgeous. This, to be honest, is exactly how I would spec my car, with the lovely denim blue paintwork and the lovely blonde leather interior. We've also got the Swedish interior, Swedish open pore birch wood as well. Moving in then to the driver cockpit, and start on this door first. We've got our lovely memory functions for the seats here and your mirror and window controls, and then obviously you have your lovely electronic seats here, adjustments, so you can save your position and your partner's position. You get 2 keys and each one will have its own setting, so when you get into the car it's exactly how you'd like it. It remembers the mirror positions as well. Moving on then to the inside, and here you can see this lovely open pore Swedish silver birch, I think it is, flows throughout the cabin here. Lovely aluminium trim as well onto the blonde leather, just really gorgeous. Now this car, because it's the 2021, it's not running the new gas system, it's running the existing sensor system, which to be honest I think is a little bit better at the moment. It's in the process of being upgraded, the gas system, where Google are giving it over-the-air updates, so it is getting better, but this is a more finished system, the sort of end of life, I suppose, for this generation of infotainment system. We then have our digital display. I'll just shut the door and start the car so that it's easier. There we go. So we've got all of our IntelliSafe systems. Turn down the aircon here as well. It's rather warm today. It's really warm and muggy. So we've also still got our boot open, but we can shut that with this button there, which is a nice little feature if you're like me and forget to shut doors. So on the steering wheel here we've got a lovely blonde leather and black steering wheel. You see here there's a little bit of dirt. That's something you need to watch out for with this blonde leather. Just keeping it clean can be a bit of not a challenge, but just something you need to bear in mind. Yeah, you've got this lovely infotainment display here. You can see the digital dashboard display here, 11,000 miles displayed on the bottom left here. Also displays the speed limit, and I must say this car, the sensor system seems to be able to get the speed limits right faster or more accurately than the new GAS Google Android system, so that's something to bear in mind, but I'm sure that will get better. We've then on our steering wheel here got our cruise controls as well, which control the speed limiter, etc. here, and you can see we've got our speed limit indicated on the speedometer, which is a really nice feature. As you can see, it's only me sat in the driver's seat, so that's what that's displaying. And then on this side we have our Rev Counter, our gear selector, and then we have our fuel, our range, and our fuel consumption. So when you're stationary, it displays this gallons per hour, and when you are driving, it gives you an instantaneous, those of you who know of Volvo's instantaneous MPG reading, or your current MPG reading. So that's very nice. Moving on to this stalk here, and this is sort of like your little infotainment, just like on other Volvos really, where you can control different aspects of the car. And they've also got your reset button, so you can select your information on here, such as your there we go, that was on. You can set your get your information up pressing this button, and then you can go through and then reset it on the end of the stalk here, which is nice. Fully automatic headlights, of course, with side lights as well, which are a nice little feature. Standard indicators, and you've also got your one-touch 3 signal indicators as well, and then this is how you control your infotainment system, your music, etc. So infotainment system is the main event on the interior of this car. You have everything in a menu. You'll see there's a very few buttons here. You have your heated screens, your hazard lights there, and an old-fashioned play, pause, skip, and what does this one do? Oh, that's a blanking button. So yeah, everything else is done here. Your climate control, your seat heating, this has the steering wheel heater as well, which is really nice. Your temperature is on a sliding scale like that, and you synchronize between the two. It's got dual zone climate control and your fan speed. There you go. And then you can also, it's a little strange, control the heated windscreen via this as well. So it comes on down there on the button, which is interesting. Same for the rear. Also then got parking climate, which means you can precondition the cabin, set a time of how long you're going to be. Say you're going to leave it overnight, you'll set it for your 12 hours between when you go to work, and you can warm the car up before you go to work, which is nice. Hit close there, and you go back to the main system. So you've got your standard applications here, and you can also download more driver performance as well. As you can see, it's currently showing 45 mpg, which isn't too bad. I'm sure if I drove more carefully I could get better mpg. You then have on this side all your car functions here. So you've got your drive mode select. On this car you have off-road, dynamic, individual, comfort and eco. To put that on, it turns off. There we go. It changes your rev counter here and gives you a more economical sort of driving approach, really. You've got rear camera, as shown there. Reasonable quality, not going to win any awards, but good enough. And you can turn the lines on and off. You've got your park assist, and you can also zoom if you're reversing up to something you're going to tow. That's a really nice feature, to be able to zoom in like that. You've also got various notifications there as well as your owner's manual, which is nice and easy to get to. And also you had your settings there as well. Music, as you can see, you've got plenty of options. You've got DAB, Bluetooth, USB, all that sort of thing, and you can switch your mobile phones, etc. So there is a lot to play with here. And then obviously you've got your calls, everything like that, contacts, you've got everything. So it's very, very handy, very, very nice and easy to use. And like I said, just a little bit more polished than the gas system at the moment. Now, something I didn't like, or I haven't liked so far, is the old map system, which obviously been replaced with Google Maps now for the newer cars. It's difficult to get the direction you're travelling, get your bearings. I'm sure I could work it out once I engage my brain a bit more. I had a late night last night, but it's just, yeah, it wasn't as intuitive as I would have liked. You've also got these lovely aluminium dials here for the aircon, which just feel fantastic and are nice and sort of malleable as to where you put them. You've got more this side and over there as well, but it's just this open pore wood is just glorious. It really is nice, and finished with the aluminium trim as well. You've got our start stop switch here, so this will turn the engine off like so. You can also turn it back on as well. Then we have our gear selector here, nice and simple to use, lovely hollow design. Pull it back to put into drive with your foot on the brake, and as you can see, it's selected drive there. Pull it back again to go into manual mode, and you move it sideways to change gear, which is interesting. Not something I've ever come across before. You hit button here for park, and that puts it into park, or you can do neutral and reverse, which obviously activates the reversing camera. You've also got the electronic handbrake here as well, which to be honest you never use because it's automatic. It comes on, so that's a nice little feature to have, that automatic handbrake. You then have cup holders here and a little cubby there, as well as a 12-volt socket, and then back here another little hidden cup holder, really, or little hidden cubby, sorry. So that's rather nice. Armrests, not the biggest, but yeah, I guess the idea is that you don't need anything particularly big in this car because you've got plenty of other storage. You then got 2 USB ports as well, which is nice. Passenger side, again, fairly standard. You get the lock and unlock like you do on old Volvos. Yeah, memory function, windows, and then the nice big glove box there as well. Lovely frameless mirror, as on all these CMA Volvos, which is the new generation of Volvo. Got an on-call button for if you need any assistance, and an SOS button, which I like. If you're sort of your wife or partner's involved in an accident, the car will automatically ring them, as well as you, obviously. You want to make sure your loved ones are safe when they're driving a car. You've then got lovely LED lights in there. These are your various controls. Not sure what that one does. Oh, there you go, it turns both of them on, and you've got your auto as well, which obviously turns them on when you open the door. Now you've got a nice mirror with an LED light on that side, and also one on this side, which is always good. And as you can see, overall, it's just a lovely, lovely place to be. The steering wheel fits really nicely in your hand. It's just, yeah, a mixed, I don't know, I keep going on about, but the open pore wood really gives you the lovely Scandinavian, simplistic, I don't want to say vibe, but that sort of experience. It's just lovely. And I forgot to mention this stalk as well. You've got all your wiper controls here. You've got automatic wipers, and you can also change sensitivity, like so. You can do rear wiper, which is something I complain about on my S80, is the fact that it doesn't have a rear wiper, so it's nice to have one here, free of charge as well. And then we've also got the windscreen washers, and these are the cool windscreen washers where the actual washer is in the wiper, which is really cool. Just genius in my book. And obviously we've got nice grab handles here. So what do you say we take this out onto the road now and do some driving, give you some driving impressions, and test out what it's like to sort of commute with, really. That's what a lot of people are going to be doing with this car. So yeah, let's get on with it. Okay, so here we are, we're out on the open road, and the good news keeps coming. This car is beautiful on the open road. It's just fantastic. We're currently sort of in a reasonably slow queue, doing about 55 behind a truck on a sort of A road, and it's completely comfortable. It's so refined in here. You just get the sense that you're going to arrive at your destination more relaxed than when you started. I don't know if it has something to do with this blonde leather interior and the open pore wood. Not sure if I'd mentioned that previously in the review, but I do like the open pore wood. But it's just such a lovely, lovely place to be. We've currently got it on eco mode. I don't know if you guys can see that. Probably not. So we've actually got an eco dial instead of a Rev Counter. So the more I put my foot on the accelerator, the less green it gets, and it tells me when we're coasting as well. Quite a cool bit of technology. Probably something that I would use on sort of a motorway. General driving, I probably wouldn't bother. I'm not sure how much it would save, but it's just a fun little way to keep a drive interesting. But this wheel is perfect size. That's what I've found. That's one of my biggest takeaways. It's just a nice size. On the previous generation Volvos, ever so slightly bigger, ever so slightly thicker, but actually this just fits in your hands really nicely. And you'll notice that even when we hit little bumps, they're so well damped on this interior. It's just brilliant. We've got a bit of a dual carriageway coming up, so I'll put my foot down and take it up to 70 from 50, and we'll see how this engine performs in a second once we go to the dual lane bit. Here we go. So foot flat now. We are in eco mode, so it's not going to be as quick as, and there's 70. So that is perfectly adequate power. You see the speed limits displayed in the bottom left hand side underneath my current speed and the cruise control set speed, and yeah, it's just, this car is just, it's perfect. These seats are really nice and comfy. They hold you well. I'm quite a wide person and I fit nicely into these seats, but I think even slimmer people would easily fit into these seats as well. They're very well designed. They keep you in the seat but don't actually squash your kidneys like I get in some perhaps more performance orientated. You see the lane assist was trying to fight me back in. It's like, no, go straight for the cyclist, don't try and go around it. So that's something that is annoying. I don't know if you guys can see. So if we, I don't trust it, but it will corner as well. If you're driving reasonably sensibly, it will corner for you, which is nice. But we're getting what is currently showing 83 mpg. I've got it in eco mode. I'm sort of doing a bit of pulse and glide coasting, so I'm not sure how realistic that will be long term. But like I said earlier, probably 50 to 60 you would get reasonably easy without much effort if you're doing long motorway journeys. You can get upwards of 65, 70, but it does take a bit of hard work, should we say, or not hard work, but concentration. But as you can see, road noise in here is lovely. I don't have a decibel reader, but if I'm just going to show you guys with it. It'll hold the lane. Yeah, there we go. So it's a 50 mile an hour zone. This truck's going to go slow up the hill, so we'll just move out. But it's just, everything's just so nice and quiet here. It's effortless. It's the way a car should be. You should arrive at your destination more chilled out than you left your previous destination. It does it so nicely. So 40 here, back up to 50, and it's just, yeah, lovely. This is what Volvo do so well, is they just build lovely, calming cars to drive. It's not trying to push you on faster. I'm sure if I put it in dynamic mode there, it would do that. But yeah, it's just lovely. Now, interesting, I just noticed that the off-road mode wasn't available because we're going too fast. So it must only be available probably up to 20 miles an hour or something to get you out of a sticky situation, which is useful to know. You don't want to be trying to put it in off-road mode while you're doing 70 miles an hour, or 50 or 60 for that matter. Yeah, this cruise control is it's not quite, it's active cruise control. It's not passive, and it's not adaptive. So what it does is it will hold your speed. So I've just set my cruise control to 50 now, and it won't let me go faster or dramatically faster. So you see the speed limit's flashing here, but it knows that, there we go, the brakes are coming on now. The car knows that you've got a little bit of play in terms of the speed limit, and what the speedo is actually telling you. So it's fairly reasonable. Can you see it just holds you at a speed going down the hill? So I've probably got brake lights on at the back, and also it's being displayed that we're charging our battery. Our 48 volt mild hybrid system is charging, so that can be deployed. If we really booted it at the bottom of this hill, that would deploy, giving you that little bit of a shove, or just for general sort of pulling away. It gives the engine a bit of a helping hand. Better on fuel that way. It makes a bit of a difference. So yeah, now you'll notice that I've got a quarter of a tank left. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, so that was that was a test of the Volvo's brakes. That was very bizarre. They obviously just didn't see me coming at all, even though I was slowing down, had got my lights on. You know, some people, you can't help some people. But yeah, I thought they were just sort of edging forward, but they obviously felt that they could just make me stop and go the other way, and they're turning off now anyway, which is ironic. And they're stopping at a roundabout that's empty. So if you see that person, try and avoid them. Perhaps not as aware as they should be. So yeah, let's get back up to speed now. 60 miles an hour. Horn sounded good, didn't it? Didn't sound too aggressive, but it sounded sort of urgent. So there we go. Set the cruise control now at 60 miles an hour, and we're bathed in loveliness. Visibility in this car is excellent. You've got lovely views out the side. The mirror's nice and big, nice windscreen. The rear visibility is lovely, and I think because the cabin is so light, we've got a light headlining and the blonde leather, and also the open pore wood. I'm not sure if I've mentioned that already. You get a sense of light, which for some reason I think gives more visibility. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if it's actually true. The extra window, I think it's because it's an estate car as well. You have that extra sort of glass in the back, which just makes it nicer. But as you can see, 60 miles an hour, it feels very slow in this car. Because it's so comfortable cruising along. We're probably in 8th gear now. This has got an 8-speed transmission, fully automatic, and it just wafts along. You can't really hear the engine. You can when you put your foot down, or around town. You can hear diesel engine rumbling ever so slightly, but it's not massive. Not compared to sort of the older D5 Volvos where the engines were quite gruff. This is very smooth, which is one of these things that Volvo are doing now. They're owned by Geely, is really refining their cars and it's working. Now, for those of you who don't know, I drove my older Volvo to the Arctic Circle and back, all the way through Europe and Sweden, and when we got to the Arctic Circle, everybody drove either a V60 cross country or a V90 cross country. They just love them over there, and now I can see why. I'd have no issues driving this car up there. I'm sure it's got plenty of grip, plenty of sort of handling characteristics that make it perfect for snow. It's just, it's a lovely car, and it's one of the reasons I love Volvo, in the fact that you just can munch and munch and munch miles. You can drive. I mean, we were doing 600-700 mile days on that trip, and we were using a whole tank of fuel. But most cars, you wouldn't be happy just to demolish a tank of fuel on a journey. But this, just you can drive it for so long that you'll soon run out of diesel. That's how. I'm not trying to say it's not fuel efficient, but that's just how long you'd be willing to drive it for, because it's so lovely. Probably a strange point to make, to be honest, but yeah, I can see why the Swedes have these all over Europe and Sweden and Scandinavia, because they really are suited for it. You've got the lovely heated windscreen here, which has got loads of tiny little elements in it, which, believe it or not, heat the windscreen a bit like you have in your back window of your standard car. But these are so fine. I believe it's Ford brought it in actually first, so this is probably a carryover from when Volvo owned Ford. Sorry, the other way around. Ford owned Volvo, and they use this triplex technology on the Volvos, and yeah, they've just been. It's just a lovely car. I'd love to own this car in the winter and just drive it. I love winter conditions. I think this car is perfect for it. You've got heated seats, heated steering wheel here, which is wonderful. I don't know why, but I always get cold hands when I'm driving, and being able to warm my digits is nice. And like this cruise control system here is just nice and easy to use. You can flip it over when it's not set, and so it becomes a limiter. So if you're driving through an urban area, say it's a 30, or on a motorway for example, and it's a 30 of 40, 50, 60, and you're not finding cruise control, you can just put the limiter on, and you physically can't go faster than what you set it to. It doesn't even cut power. The car just doesn't go any faster. I suppose it does cut power, but it's, yeah, it just handles it so well. And like, you'd think because of the extra ride height, you'd get a bit more sort of pitch and roll through corners, but it doesn't. It holds itself really nicely. I haven't. So it probably does lean slightly more than a V60 would, with the slightly increased ride height, but it's not an issue. It's no more than my old S80. We've got so in my smart car, when I go over that, I have to have back surgery. That I didn't even notice it just absorbs the bumps so well. We've got reasonable sized tyre walls on this car, and the 19-inch alloys, but that's because it's cross country, so you want a decent tyre wall. You can get them with I think you can get out to 21 inches on this car, which is, I don't see why anyone would want 21-inch alloys on a car that's across country, or any car, to be honest. I'm not a fan of big wheels, but yeah, you just get the impression that you can go anywhere in it. So the accelerator and the brakes have a reasonable amount of feel in them. Actually, I've been quite impressed. The steering's got none. I'm sure it'll weight up if you put it in dynamic mode, but the steering in eco mode doesn't really have any sort of what's holding a gear. I don't know if you can hear the engine. Doesn't have any sort of feel, which is fine. You don't buy a Volvo for track work, do you, or precision driving? You buy a Volvo to enjoy driving, to enjoy every journey you do, to have a pleasant experience, and just enjoy nice things. It's a bit like why you buy a nice watch, or you buy expensive, high quality clothing, not branded stuff, more of a proper brand that builds high quality things, because it's that's what Volvo essentially do. You can buy a BMW or Mercedes for the badge, and don't get me wrong, they're very well built cars, but Volvo do it in a way that's durable. They're a bit like sort of Carhartt are with jeans and workwear. It's designed to last. And this gearbox, I mean, I don't even notice that it's an 8-speed. I don't notice that it's changing gear. I wouldn't be able to tell you when it's changed gear on this journey. Probably only the noise would give it away. But literally you have no brake in acceleration. It's just, yeah, it's fabulous. To daily drive, I'm sure this would be brilliant. Should you get the V60 cross country over the standard V60? I think it depends where you live. If you live somewhere that's perhaps more rural, then yeah, why not? It's not that much more money, but it's nice and comfortable. If you take it on trips to perhaps Sweden or places like that, definitely get the V60 cross country. But the V60 itself is a lovely car. Essentially this, but slightly lower. Slightly firmer ride actually as well, but yeah, it's just fabulous. But I think what we'll do is we'll take you onto a faster road because we're stuck in a town here. It's an illegal left-hand turn by them, and then we'll do a bit more of the sort of performance fast road driving dynamics. Okay then, so here we are on a slightly more open road as we come onto a roundabout, but let's test the dynamic abilities of the V60 cross country. So the D4 gets you up to speed pretty quick, to be honest. It's not, you don't need anything else. You don't need a faster car than this. No one needs it. It might be nice to have, but over the bumps you'll see there, it just really nicely damps. It holds itself really well. Doesn't get too upset over sort of your standard A or B road bump. It's going to stay green for us, which is very kind, and we'll put it through the bend here, and it stays really flat despite having extra height and extra higher centre of gravity. It's just, yeah, really handles it well. It gets stuck behind this van here, although he's doing the speed limit. So over the bumps though, as you can see, really nicely damped, and it just holds the road brilliantly. You're gonna have to have done something very wrong to lose control of this car, because it's really set up to protect you. The way that it steers, the way that it prioritises understeer rather than oversteer. So if you really do push it past its limit, the front of this car is going to slide out rather than the back. So you're not going to end up flipping round on yourself, which is very good. You don't want that, and you don't want your loved ones to do it as well. That's the thing. It's not always just you that drives your car. I suppose it might be for some people, but you want to. Volvo really care about their customers, I think, is what I'm trying to say here, is that, and the way that they set these cars up, you can really tell there's a slightly rougher surface. We've got a bit of space now. We've got this fan out of the way. Just gotta make sure we're clear to pull out. There we go. And the all-wheel drive system pulls you sort of out of a bend or out of a junction, and you get up to speed nice and quickly. And it's just, yeah, it's just brilliant. You can't go wrong. It's really nicely set up. So we've got two ways we can go. We'll turn right in a second if this car doesn't. If not, we'll carry on straight on, because both of them are nice roads. So this car has 190 brake horsepower, slightly more if you include the mild hybrid system. 2 tons though, nearly, or 1,900, definitely 2 tons of me in it. So it's not a light car, but because of the electric steering that firms up when you drive faster, to be fair, I moaned about it not having much feel earlier at slower speeds, but actually it does hold it nicely. It's just, yeah, wafts through these bends, no issues at all. I can't go too fast, obviously, because there's a speed limit involved, but through these tighter bends here, it's just mega, absolutely mega. Now the lane assist is a bit intrusive on this sort of road, so I'm gonna get rid of it, because I'm not really happy with it taking control while I'm trying to drive. So lane keeping aid is off, nice and easy, just done through there. And let's, shall we, push on and see how this car performs. A caravan ahead, it's that time of year, people. It's one of the issues with living in the countryside. Absolutely rock solid through the bends. Rock solid. It doesn't take long to catch up with the caravan, is the problem. Now this driving position that you're in, you do get a nice view out. You're slightly higher up, so you can see slightly further ahead, and it just, yeah, it gives you confidence. You can see more. There we go, we'll get past this caravan, push it into some more bends, and yeah, so a bit of throttle through the bend here. And oh, the damping is just fantastic. It really is fun. I mean, we're not going to do track work in this car, and it's not set up for that, but actually sort of fast road driving, or obviously within the speed limit, it really does well. And I thought with the slightly raised up height it would be worse than this, but it really isn't. And it deals with the undulations really nicely. We've got a left hand bend here, so dab the brakes, ease in, load the one side of the car up. Now that was a adverse camber corner with a big bump in, and it handles it brilliantly. This is great fun. Got a nice bit of smooth tarmac here. Just feed the power in through the corner. Yeah, I've got a pedestrian on the left, so we're going to ease off here. Just move out to get a better view of what's going on. I stood on the side of the road, that's alright. We've got some sharp bends coming up here. Get the car slowed down, ease into the bend, power on through the bend, and then for this one I think we'll just ease off the throttle and tip her in. Now you do get a bit of a, if you really tip the car in, it does do a bit of a wobble. It's not particularly happy about that, but we're not going to do that very often. And the car handles it well, so you can't go wrong there. So yeah, that is a brief overview of how the car performs. And actually that wobble, what I suggested there, is probably the slightly higher, slightly bigger tyre wall, or the side wall of the tyre. It wouldn't surprise me if that's just a bit of give in the tyre actually, rather than suspension, because we are dealing with sort of big tall sidewalls because it's the cross-country variant. But you do get a sort of higher road speeds, you do get the rumble through the cabin on a roughed surface as well. There you go, music come on slightly there. Yeah, it's just lovely, isn't it? Really nice. And I don't know if you guys can tell from this, but it's just turning, it does exactly what you want it to do. And the wobble that you can feel is the back end sort of catching up. Yeah, let's take you now to my final thoughts on the V60 cross country. We've done the A-Road Blast, we've done sort of around town and normal driving conditions. We've given you a good tour of the exterior as well as the interior. So let's show you, or give our final thoughts and our verdict on this really lovely car. There's a clue on my verdict there. Okay then guys, so what are my final thoughts on the V60 cross country? Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to spend the day with this car. I think the whole thing about the cross country vibe, with the raised ride height, the cladding on the side, slightly bigger tyre walls, it's just lovely. It's not quite full fat SUV, so you don't feel like you're sat on top of the world, but you feel like you're sat in a nice, comfortable, well-built car that really is a credit to its owner. So in terms of the engine, the B4D, as specified in this car with the 48 volt mild hybrid system, is perfectly adequate for what you need. It doesn't feel ridiculously fast. I think 0 to 60 somewhere in the 7 to 8 second region, but you can quite easily overtake things. It pulls well, sort of up to 70 and beyond. It just is a really nice, comfortable car, and I think it's nice and refined compared to the older generation Volvos. This engine is incredibly well refined, so you don't notice it at cruising speeds. You don't notice it at all. It almost feels like an electric car from that point of view. There's no vibration into the cabin. It's just a really lovely place to be. The interior, beautifully laid out, beautifully thought out. This blonde leather interior is just a masterpiece in my opinion. It's proper Swedish, Scandinavian design and architecture and craftsmanship at its finest. Did I mention the open pore wood as well? Just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. In terms of everyday life, we've got family, plenty of room back here for the kids. They'll even have heated seats, which is nice. Perhaps not with the blonde leather interior if you've got small ones, because it will get trashed. It does cope fairly well with dirt, although the driver's seat, I'm not sure if you can see, is picking up a bit of dirt as well as the steering wheel. So touch points you want to be trying to keep as clean as possible. I can imagine the seat belt's getting a bit dirty as well with kids, so perhaps go for a darker interior if you've got children. And then the boot, it's going to swallow everything you need really. If we can, there we go. We've done the old foot one, and actually the foot opening, Volvo is the only car company that make one that works every time. I don't know how they do it, but they do. So yeah, this boot, cavernous. There's nothing you can't fit in this. Oh, if there is, you should be using a van or a V90 cross country, I suppose. If you're routinely carrying wardrobes, etc., then perhaps a V90 is better. But for the everyday person, this is all you're going to need. It's just brilliant. Now, I showed you with the seats down. You can lie down in that. Like I said, I'm 6 foot and a bit, and you can quite easily lie down flat. So you could camp in this car if you wanted to. If you had a roof box on, you could put all your stuff up there, camp in the car, and actually you'd be perfectly comfortable. You can preheat the cabin as well, so overnight you can keep it warm. For those sort of adventurous folk for you out there, and I think that's really who this car works for best. It works for someone who perhaps is late 20s, early 30s, or mid 30s, or 40s, either with a young family or haven't quite had kids yet, but love an active lifestyle, like going out canoeing, cycling, all that sort of thing. You're going to get up any sort of dirt car park track with no issues. You're going to be able to tow a caravan if you're into that through a muddy field, no issues. It's not a hardcore off-roader, but that's not what this car is for. It is one of the best all-round vehicles I think I've ever driven, and that's saying something because I've driven quite a few different vehicles, all the sorts of types and everything like that, and when you just look through here, yeah, it's just lovely, isn't it? What a place to be. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on this V60 cross country. Let me know if you're probably in the market for one if you're watching this video, or you might just be interested in them. Really lovely cars, and got an interesting coloured key as well. And thanks again as well to Keith Price Volvo for making this video possible. Like I said, if you're in the market for a new or used Volvo, be sure to visit Keith Price Garages. I'll attach all their information below, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.